Good morning and welcome to How to Fix Meetings. This is a 30-minute Ninja Skill Booster, one in our series that we've been running to really share some great content in a very short period of time so that you've got some techniques that you can take forward. I will share my screen just now. I'm going to start sharing the slides. Here we go. I would love to know that you can see that okay. If you can just let me know that you can see my screen, I would really appreciate it. As we go through the session, please take part in the chat box. Let me know that you can hear me okay, and if you have any issues at all, please shout. And I'm going to give you some activities to do. So I will look for some participation, some active learning and listening as we go through so that you can really embed the learning from this. So straight into our content. Firstly, my name is Julie Jones. I am a productivity ninja here at Think Productive, and I love talking about productivity. If you would like to keep in touch, please do so. My details, just take a screenshot. We will connect and spend time chatting. Very happy to talk about productivity whenever you need to. So please keep in touch. And you can check out on our Facebook page and in our Instagram account, we post lots of little tips and techniques every few days that just will keep you on top of some productivity techniques. So if you want to join us there, please feel free to do so. As you all know, our programs are based around the really basic principles of productivity from How to Be a Productivity Ninja with our gorgeous little ninja characteristics. And Graham and Hayley have just produced the latest in our productivity suite, How to Fix Meetings, the book, which you can get on Amazon and you can get on places like Booktopia. And I'm going to cover just little snippets of content from that book today, but it's also based very much on the content, as I mentioned, of our a full workshop that we run for teams to help you with getting a really clear view on how you want meetings to operate in your organisation. So feel free to get in touch if you want to know more about that. Our key is, when we're talking about meetings, is we want to make meetings rare. Yeah, we don't need to have lots of meetings. Meetings do drain our productivity and our time and our energy. So we want to make sure our meetings are rare, fun, and productive. Again, I'm not sure if they ever were, but this is our goal. Our goal is to make sure that we really have great meetings in our organizations rather than meetings that just drain the life out of us. I'm going to cover 3 key things today, and this is really key in creating great meeting structure. So we need an agenda. Yeah, we need a really clear focus on this. So our agenda today is I'm going to talk about why meetings are broken, and I'm going to get your participation in that as well. We're going to talk about the importance of attention, making sure that we're really present when we are in meetings. And also then I'm going to give you my top 3 tips and tools on fixing meetings so that you can make some progress for yourself in your business. Okay, let's get into it. The first thing I want to do though is I want to actually have a quick interaction with you guys via the chat box about meetings. I would love for you just to describe in one short sentence or a few words, even better, pop it in the chat box. What is the problem with meetings? What do you perceive as the problem? What is the key problem? Please pop it in the chat box. So I'm going to read these as we go. Too long, beautiful Pip. Yes. People wait until the meeting to do everything. Yes, absolutely. We're going to talk about that. No real purpose or outcome, Katrina. Yep. People multitasking, not being present. Absolutely. Waiting until the meeting, we read that one. Often held without an agenda, end up wasting time. Absolutely. Some meetings should really be just an email. Absolutely, Elise. Absolutely. Shane, same old routine, time after time. Yep, going to talk about that one too. Often better ways to use the time. Absolutely. Doesn't that really ring true? No clear actions, too many meetings in your calendar. Yep, too long. Could have been an email. Yep, takes time away from doing things. So yeah, so many comments there. Really important. You guys all know what some of these really big issues are with meetings. So yeah, well done. Awesome. Lots and lots of comments there. Read the chat box. That really sums it up. So I'm going to focus on why meetings are broken first and just get you through exactly what we've just said in the chat box. The main things that we see regularly when we're dealing with meetings and the meeting culture that we see in organisations is that there are often too many meetings. And during COVID, we know that there has been a significant increase in the number of meetings. We are all going to more meetings virtually or in person now. We're starting to go back to the office. Virtually, definitely, lots and lots of meetings. Often we don't know why we're here. We don't have a clear purpose. We don't know why we particularly have been invited, what role we play, and why we're there. What is this all about? The other big thing with meetings is, as we've said, is there's so many of them that we just don't know when we're going to have time to do the work, to actually do the doing. And this is really important, is to figure out how to ensure that meetings are productive when we need to have them, and that the rest of the time we can get on with doing work. We know that we spend, it's estimated on average for the average worker, so there are workers out there doing more than this, but we spend generally 23 days a year in meetings. 23 days of your life. Can you imagine that? That's on average. So some people are doing more, some people doing less, but a lot of people doing around about 23 days a year. That's a lot of time in meetings. So it's very, very important that we are being productive when we're there, or shortening those down. The other big thing, which was mentioned in the chat box as well, is anyone even paying attention? Are we actually focusing and getting stuff done when we're in meetings? Often we are very distracted. We have other things that we're doing, like checking messages, doing our emails, a whole range of other things that happen in meetings. It's really difficult to get stuff done when we're in that environment. And the other thing that's really crazy is that we're so busy attending meetings, we don't stop to think about them and how we could make them better. So these 30 minutes power session, I want you to stop and think about the meetings that you either attend or you chair. How can you do things differently? I'm going to challenge you on this. I'm going to give you a few little exercises to do as we go through. Now, I just want to say you're not alone. Everybody's doing it. And as I mentioned, during COVID, we're doing it more and more often. Everybody's doing the same thing. We are all following along, just doing the meetings, because that's what we've always done. And I'm going to get you to use your unorthodoxy ninja a little bit today. This is our creative ninja, the one that does things differently, the one that experiments, and get you to think about how you can do things differently. As I say, even for meetings that you attend, how can you break the norm? And how can you do it differently in your own meetings that you organise? The other cost, so we talked about 23 days a year, is that even if you look at the cost just for 2 hours of meetings per week, if you had just 4 employees in that meeting, the cost estimate is around $32,000 a year. So times that by 23 days, imagine how much time and energy and money we spend on meetings. It's so critical that we harness the power and use that effectively, because it costs us a lot of money. So really get you to think about the impact on your business of all of these hours. And virtual meetings, as they become more common, there's an advantage to virtual meetings. The ability, this is a great quote from Rick, is the ability to hold them almost anywhere. And the disadvantage of virtual meetings is also the ability to hold them almost anywhere, because we get distracted. We get into just doing things on the fly, very much ad hoc, wherever we are. So it's really important to think about not just the physical meetings. We are going to talk a lot about meeting structures that can be applied to physical and virtual meetings. So important to keep this in mind, because we want all meetings to be really productive. So that's why we think meetings are broken, and certainly the research is backing up a lot of those stats. We really want to make sure now that we focus in on how to improve meetings. I'm going to keep an eye on my time. I don't want to go over. I'm going to be a good ninja today and finish on time. The importance of attention. It's really critical. We know this as ninjas. We spend most of our time in all of our sessions talking about attention, talking about getting us to focus on the right things so that we can be productive and we can achieve great results. And it's so, so important to think about this in context of meetings. Because unless we capture this is a lovely quote from Nancy Klein, everything depends first on our ability to think really well, to do the thinking. Yeah. And thinking depends on our ability of our attention for each other. So making sure that we can be present, really fully present, our attention is really focused in the meeting. It's very, very important. So Think about this the next time you go to a meeting. If you're going to a meeting today, how do you bring your full attention? How do you ensure that when you're in that session, you contribute to your utmost? It's pretty tricky. Often we get distracted. I've actually been to a training program where they actually took away everybody's water bottles. Now that's a little controversial, given, we talk about hydration and making sure we're present. But do you know, we will use even a water bottle as distraction in a meeting. So imagine when we have our laptops and our phones in our hands there in meetings, it's so tempting. Those alerts pop up and distract us, takes us off track. So I'd really very much encourage you guys. We're going to talk about a little bit of meeting structure in a little while, but think about this in terms of what rules and protocols do you set for your meetings? Do you ask everybody to put their mobile phones away at the beginning of the session? Feels sometimes a little bit like, oh, I can't do that. I can't ask people not to touch the phone. You can. You can agree as a team to set some structure around your meetings so that everyone gets in and out of there as quickly as possible and we reach the outcomes that we need. So really get you to think about attention and how you can manage it for meetings specifically. And this is why it's so important. This is some great research from Israel. And this is parole board judges. So we've shared this research before. It's very important when you're thinking about decision making. And meetings are often about this. They're often about making decisions and getting progress. Now, this is parole board judges that are there to say, yes, we think you have been suitably rehabilitated and you can go back out into society. It's much harder. The consequences are much more significant if they let somebody out that's not ready to leave. So their positive decisions, it takes a lot more thinking power, a lot more decision making, a lot more attention on the information that's being shared. And you can see that first thing in the day, this is actually a time across the day, is their positive decisions, the number of positive decisions they make to say, yes, you may leave, is really high to start with. And then it rapidly declines down to morning tea. After morning tea, when they've had a bit of a break, they're thinking again, thinking well, but you can see it declines very quickly again to lunch. And after lunch, you would not be wanting to be in front of a parole board judge. Yeah. So think about this. Think about the decision-making capabilities, your capacity to think and have great attention during meetings. We want to keep them short, sweet. We want to make sure we're getting great decisions and great actions out of the meetings when we're there. Okay, it's very important. Okay, I think I've hammered that one home quite well, but I'm going to get into the fixing meetings. These are our 3 top tips and tools on fixing meetings. These are the things I really want you to practice, and I'm going to get you to say some activities in here. The first one is our ruthlessness ninja. Hard to say, great little fella to have in your arsenal though. We want you to be being really ruthless about the meetings that you attend, the meetings you organize, the way, whether you actually do go to meetings, and be ruthless about this. Okay, this will change your meeting mindset. It will change the culture of meetings in your organization. It will change the way your teams operate. And the first one is no agenda. Sorry, can't come. No attendance. Make your attendance conditional on the organizer respecting your time and everyone else's. Just reading that slide. Make sure there is an agenda. The other thing, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in terms of meeting structure in a second, but this is really the next level, ninja level. Is there a purpose statement for this meeting? If there's no purpose statement, no attendance. Why am I coming to this meeting? What is the reason for this time out of my diary? Please tell me. Just 1 or 2 sentences is all it needs, is a purpose statement for the meeting that we're attending. And interestingly, that purpose statement should be different for every meeting you go to. So I know, Shane, you'd mentioned, same old, same old. Even if we're doing team meetings every week, or we're doing a regular project meeting every week, there should always be a new purpose statement each week. What is it specifically that we are going to deliver today from this meeting? Is it just a catch up, time to chat for everybody, blah, 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 we do this all the time? Or is there some reason, some really important reason why we need to get together this week? So really think about those things. If there is no agenda, do not attend. You will see very quickly that there will be a change in the culture in your organization when you start saying, I don't know why I'm coming. I have not prepared for it. I have nothing to contribute because I don't know what's happening in that meeting. Also think about this. Really think about, is this meeting valuable to you? Am I important in the meeting? Is this something I can really contribute significantly to? Can I delegate it? If it's something that someone else has better skill to bring to the meeting, then can I delegate? Or can I attend part of the meeting? So this is ruthlessness, but it's kind of negotiation. At this point, we're starting to get into the, can I renegotiate this? Can I attend just this section which is relevant to me? If there's an agenda, I can see that. I can see that this bit is the bit where I'm going to add most value. The rest of the meeting, you don't need me there. That's okay. I'm just going to come to this. Okay. So be ruthless about this. And remember that deleting is not cheating. Okay. This is a really cool one. If you know that the meeting that's in your diary for today is going to not be valuable to you, employ your stealth and camouflage ninja and just say, I'm so sorry. Project Magenta has called me off track. Now, confidential, Project Magenta is a confidential project. Nobody needs to know that's not a real project, okay? But you can use that as an excuse if you'd like to get out of a meeting that you know that you're not going to add any value to, okay? Or can you dial in for your part? So really think about what could you do now, right now, to improve the amount of meetings in your diary, to reduce the amount of meetings in your diary and move you into a more productive zone. So I am just going to pause for a second and I'm going to get you to do this little challenge just for 2 minutes. I'm going to get you in 2 minutes to have a quick look at your diary. So please don't get too distracted, but go to your diary, have a quick look and see if there is a meeting you can cancel, if it's one you're chairing, one you can decline, one you can uninvite yourself from, or one you could shorten, and see how many hours you can save. See if you can save 2 hours in your diary right now. Okay, 2 minutes, go. And please pop it in the chat box, what you find. I'm not going to stop the recording because I'm going to read the chat box as we get some wins and successes in there. I'm looking forward to your thoughts. Jason declined one that had limited value and can find out from others what it's about. Beautiful. Is that Craig 1/2 today? Is that half an hour today? And Jennifer looking at shortening meetings from an hour to 45 minutes. Beautiful. Great strategy there. Jennifer, that's awesome because it also allows people to have time to go to the bathroom, get a drink, get lunch. Okay, awesome, Craig, half an hour, save today. Amazing, you're already saving time, money, energy, focus, all of these areas. It's wonderful, fantastic. I'm going to wait for a few more people. 2 hours, Matt. Found one meeting that can easily run without me. Fantastic. Angeline declined one I could respond to by email. Fabulous. And Kristen, hello, Kristen. I found that if I do this, I can attend more strategic learning opportunities. All my meetings are set for half an hour rather than an hour. That seems to be standard. Fantastic. Yes, Katrina, difficult this week, however, save at least 2 hours next week. Fantastic. Jennifer, again, we had 45 minutes in place for some reason they've reverted back to an hour. Yeah, awesome work. Yeah. Shane asked to be updated by others, declined it, an hour. Yes. Actions from previous meetings include outcomes in the agenda for the next meeting. Perfect. Perfect, Jennifer. This is great etiquette for meetings. Sharon could easily do without time-wasting meetings this week and it would give me back 2 hours, but told they're compulsory but not productive. Interesting, Sharon. That's one to go back and start negotiating on, maybe having some really good dialogue around how we could improve that situation. Wonderful. Thank you all so much for sharing. Fab. I'm going to keep going. We've only got 10 minutes left and I want to share some really cool stuff here with you. Now, this is always me, the nerd. I love my nerdiness in this ninja, preparedness ninja, planning, organizing. So important for meetings, okay? I want you to think about good meeting design. I love this strategy, and this is covered a lot in the book. This is the framework, the structure for every meeting you should be organising or attending. We need the 4 Ps, okay? Purpose, plan, protocol, and people. And as I mentioned before, your purpose for this meeting, it only needs to be a 1 or 2 line statement, okay? But it should be unique for each meeting. It shouldn't just be a blanket, you know, you've got a meeting booked in for a project every week and it's the same purpose statement for every week is just to keep this project on track. No, really specific. This week, this meeting is about this. This is our purpose statement, okay? Being really clear on that means that people can then decide, do I have a role to play in the purpose of this meeting? Do I need to be there? So maybe these meetings, Sharon, that are compulsory, you could employ this kind of strategy, is thinking about how do we create a really awesome purpose for this meeting? Can we change this meeting to make it really valuable? Or can we make it really obvious to those that are organising it and saying it's compulsory that it's actually of low value? Okay, so thinking about your purpose is really important. And your plan is critical. I'm going to talk about plan a little bit here. Is really, this is where we're setting our agenda. We are being really clear on what is the overarching plan for this meeting. And you can break that down to a rough time frame. So you can shorten meetings. You know, in this meeting, this is our agenda. These are the things we need to action. These are the decisions we need to make. These are the things we need out of this session. So being really, really clear. I love in the book, they talk about, think about the meeting as a story. You need a beginning, a middle, and an end as well. So introducing everyone, making sure everyone knows why we're here, ensuring that the content in the middle section is getting the guts of it done, and then we have an ending. So we know what our clear actions are outside of this. So being really clear on that. The other thing to think about too is the protocols, and I've mentioned this a little bit as we go through, as we've gone through this session, is, you know, things like no phones, okay, in the meeting so that we can really focus. But protocols are critical. Again, I love this analogy. The idea of, imagine you leave the house or the office now, right now, and you go outside and you get in your car and all the road signs are gone. There's no markings on the middle of the road. There's no traffic lights. There are no rules. Can you imagine the chaos that would be on the roads? That's what meetings often feel like. There are no rules, no guidelines. There's no structure. There's no way of knowing how we reach an outcome. So protocols are really important. It's really critical to set up some protocols. How are we going to operate as a team here to get the results that we want? And setting those things up front may seem a little strange to start with, things like, you know, no mobile phones, no computers. But that could be what's needed in order to get the focus and attention on the outcomes that you need. Okay, so really think about what protocols you need. And of course, people. We need to be really clear that you've invited the right people to your meeting to give you the outcomes that you need, and that they understand what their role is. Very, very important. They have a clear understanding as to why you've invited them. So think about the 4 Ps, really important structure. If you just take one thing away, 4 Ps today, you're going to get a better outcome in your meetings. And when we think about the 40-20 rule, or 40-20-40 rule, this is really what I mean about all of that planning, the purpose, getting everything organized for the meeting, is that in general, we should have a structure that looks like this. 40% of the time we spend, or the attention we spend, should be about getting ready for this meeting. 20% of our attention should be on the actual meeting itself. And 40% should be on the outcomes at the end, outside of the meeting. Now, we've had the question, is it time? It can be time, but it's really about your attention. How much focus should I put on each of these areas? You can see that if we are really well planned, we have a purpose, we have an agenda, we know exactly who's coming to the meeting and what their role is in the meeting, we have a really clear outcome expected. It's much easier to achieve that in the middle section. And then at the outside of that, we can then start working on the actions that we've agreed and moving things forward. So the 40-20-40, please write that one down. Really important to think about that as a structure for setting up the attention that we're putting towards our meetings. Number 3, I really want you to think about this one. I do love this little guy, the unorthodoxy ninja. I've mentioned him already today. This is about having a bit of fun with this stuff too, but doing things differently, experimenting, dialing things up, changing things, do things that people wouldn't expect, okay? If you have meetings that are stale, meetings that just go on and on, Sharon, you mentioned these ones that just seem to be kind of, you know, we're expected to go, but there's no outcome. If it's stale, get rid of it, okay? That's ruthlessness ninja too. We've said this through our fixing meeting workshops, is if it's stale, get rid of it first and see if there's anything that you miss from that meeting. And then you could reinvent it in a new way, okay? But it's often best to just get rid of it and see what comes out. If we're missing stuff, then we can replace it, but making sure that we don't just keep meetings for the sake of it. Really get you to think about that one. You can also do different things. Who would have thought goat yoga? Who would have thought goats in a yoga studio? But it did something different. It got us to think creatively. It got some really crazy stuff happening. What can you do in your meetings to change things up? To shorten meetings, often we talk about stand-up meetings. People don't like standing for very long in a meeting space, so you can keep meetings really short. It can be great for a 15-minute stand-up in the morning with teams, rather than spending lots of time sitting down and meetings just drag on because we're comfortable. Yeah. So think about how you might change up your meeting. And I would love you to think about check-in ideas here. The way we start meetings, as I mentioned, we had some great jokes to start the session this morning. A positive start creates better outcomes. Yeah. So you can do things like a tweet, you can do the Chihuahua scale check-in. I love this Chihuahua scale. It's really cool. Silly sounds, scores out of 10. How are you doing today? Yeah. Or do something that's really unique to your team. I've mentioned this before in other sessions I've run. I was working in corporate until quite recently, part-time, and one of our finance directors used to tell a joke at the beginning of every quarterly review where he was presenting very dry numbers, and he just broke the ice. He got everyone's attention. He got really the focus of the meeting in the right zone, and the outcomes were better. Yeah, so really think about those check-in ideas. Okay, that is so important for you to have heard. I hope that resonated with you in terms of our focus for meetings. And as Graham says, it's really important that meetings are, the best meetings are those that have collaborative flow, where we know that 5 brains truly are greater than 1. Yeah, that's our goal for all the meetings that we're generating and creating. Very much encourage you to take on board some of those tips today and try them. Just give them a go. Figure out what you can change in your day. So we've covered all 3 sections now. I've given you my top 3 tips, and I would love to just finish off with a couple of very quick exercises. Again, please pop in the chat box. I'm going to keep talking while you're popping these in, because we are almost out of time. Only 2 minutes. 30 minutes go so quickly here. I would love to know your actions from today. What will you do for yourself? And what will you do to help change the culture of your organisation? So I would love to have those thoughts in the chat box. And whilst you're thinking about those, I'm just going to ask if there are any questions. I'm going to stay on after the session. Jennifer's saying assign 40% before the meeting to prepare better. Yes, love it. Kristen saying review the meeting on our own terms of agenda and people attending. Purpose before action. Wonderful, Jason. Fabulous. If you would like to know more about our fixing meetings, please feel free to get in touch. This is an awesome session to do with teams, to be able to really create some change in your meeting culture, the way you do things, and hopefully get back some time for the stuff that really matters. We do have lots of great workshops available, so please get in touch if you need any help or support. We know that as people are going back into the office now, that we're getting a lot of people contacting us around workshops to help people transition back. We're here to help, so please get in touch. Again, take a screenshot of my details, but that's it from me today, and I finished bang on time. How about that? So I'm going to go back to these questions, and I'm going to just read the chat box. If anybody has questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat box now. I'm going to just scroll through and have a look, but stay in the line. You can also raise a hand in the Q&A section in your in the little chat bar. And thank you so much. Thank you. Lots of good quotes there. Comments. My words are not coming out today. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Stop sharing.